Hello everyone, and welcome back to another cartography lecture video. And in today's lecture video, we're going to talk about scale and generalization, which are two things that kind of go hand in hand, which talk about how we handle the relationship between the size on the map and the size in the real world, and what happens when we have to alter our spatial data because we run into issues with the relationship between scale and the physical size of objects represented in spatial data. So we're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to talk about kind of, again, what scale is as a reminder. We're going to talk about the idea of cartographic scale versus what we typically would call something called geographic scale. We're going to talk about this idea of what generalization is. We're going to talk about what causes generalization or why we generalize. And specifically, we're going to talk about sort of four key causes of generalization. We're going to talk about congestion. We're going to talk about coalescence. We're going to talk about conflict. And we're going to talk about complication. And we're going to look at examples of each of those. Then we're going to talk about how we generalize. Right? So now that we know that we have to, how do we actually do it? And then we're going to talk about sort of the key methods. So we're going to talk about simplification. We're going to talk about smoothing. We're going to talk about aggregation. We'll talk about amalgamation. We'll talk about merging and collapsing. We'll talk about refining. Exaggeration. And then we'll talk about, finally, enhancement and displacement. Enhancement and displacement. And then we're going to end the lecture by talking about this idea of data resolution, which relates to the sort of specificity with which our spatial data represents actual data. So hopefully this all makes sense. And as always, if you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you.